and welcome to Thanet Writers meet Salena Godden. I'm Connor Sansby from Thanet Writers and I'm with Salena Godden. Hello.
Hello.
So first of all, let's talk about your connections to the area.
I was born here.
In Cliftonville, we were saying earlier.
Yeah, I think so, that rings a bell. I was born here in Margate, Ramsgate. We lived just up the road and my father used to play in the venue that's on the seafront just up the road. My father was a jazz musician and my mother was a go-go dancer.
Brilliant.
And that's how they met. And I wrote about that in my memoir, Springfield Road, quite a bit. And it's lovely to be back here. I don't remember being born here, but I was though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't
remember being born.
What age were you when you moved out of the area then?
I think we left here when I was maybe 2 or 3.
Very small.
Yeah. But when I was last here, we went to go and find the house that we used to live in, and we found it, and it used to be pink, but it's not pink anymore. And it was so weird. I had a really strong memory of losing my doll over this particular wall. And I went and stood at this wall and had the same sort of grief. Like, where's my doll's over there? Like I just
it's
completely could remember
yeah.
it. Yeah. It's funny how just architecture and streets just can take you all the way back in time.
The concept of psychogeography, I think they call it. I love that word.
Yeah. So do I.
So, on the subject of architecture, you've recently escaped from a prison cell.
I have just got out from doing time. I've just been in Ireland in the Curfew Tower in Cushendall, which is in County Antrim. I spent a month on my own in a prison tower, a disused prison. It was such an immense thing to do. I faced a lot of my fears. I feel really strong. I feel like I had an empty well and I've kind of filled my well back up.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that I get. But it's a very strange thing. My company was basically a fire. They're just kind of keeping the fire going. It was like keeping the conversation going. And I went there to finish a book that I'm working on, and so I was walking the cliffs and the beaches and writing this book. The book was very much using the technique of composing on the lips. So rather than being hunched over writing, a lot of recording and trying out different voices and working out the chapters that way. Yeah.
With that sort of space, I suppose, that you have there, there's almost a sense of fearlessness. That there's no one around you to critique you. I know I write my best when everything is quiet and still and I've just got me.
Yeah, that's really part of it, and sort of getting away from distractions and things. There was a tiny village there and there were 3 pubs. So I was really strict for the first couple of weeks. But then towards the end, I did start going to the lovely, gorgeous little pub called Johnny Joe's, which was one of the best Irish pubs in the whole of Ireland for folk music. And I got promoted and got given a tambourine.
Excellent.
And I did a tambourine solo, which I'm still proud of. And so yeah, I had an amazing time in Ireland. It was life-changing and challenging and nourishing and just an amazing thing. And most importantly, I came back with something that's looking like a book now. So
excellent.
I'm excited about that. Mrs. Death is a novel that's with an album. So it's a novel that comes with an accompanying a soundtrack. So so when I perform from it, I'll be able to perform it with music composed by Peter Coit, who I
collaborate with. For
I've collaborated for a number of years. Yeah.
That was one of the things that I really enjoyed while I was digging through your sort of archives in preparation for this. Was seeing how many different things you've actually done. It's not just a case of I put poems on paper. There's a spectacular range, and I've really enjoyed getting into the music actually. I really enjoyed that bit.
I love working with music. I love working. Yeah, I like to sort of stretch and write different styles from. I'm not a very good journalist, but I do like writing essays, and I like writing poetry and short stories and fiction and songwriting and lyrics. I kind of just have something to say, and then I don't really know what it's going to be until it's finished. Like, oh, that's an essay. I thought it was going to be a poem. So very often things kind of, I don't know what they're going to be. I just keep, and then I sort of see where the lines are forming, where the breaths and where the pauses are, and then I find out what it is.
Yeah. You can never really predict what a good idea will become.
Finishing a thing is the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
A writer isn't someone who necessarily writes, it's someone who finishes writing.
Yeah. Honestly, sitting down and finishing is a real It's a real, that's the real endurance, the endurance of it. With Mrs. Death, I haven't, on purpose, I haven't pursued a publishing deal for it, because I really love the freedom that it's me with this idea that I've been working on. It must be about nearly 2 years now. Just watching it develop, and almost so the book is kind of telling me what it is, and it's changed, the ideas have changed, and the concepts changed and developed, but without any kind of deadline and without anybody paying me money, so I kind of am owned by them, and the idea is owned by something. Then when it's finished and lovely, then I'll go fishing, but at the moment I'm just loving that freedom, that it's just something I want to make because I want to make it, not because it's a job and there's a check in the bank. It's a different kind of writing once money's changed hands.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As well as that, you've also got Pessimism is for Lightweights coming out this year. You've got a very busy year for releases.
I know. Pessimism is for lightweights. Pessimism is for lightweights. Pessimism is for lightweights is coming out of Rough Trade Books this summer. It's 13 pieces of courage and resistance, and it's just a small contribution of pieces that I've written, inspired by protest and inspired by resistance in these troubled times.
If you could offer any pieces of advice to writers just starting out their journey, what would be the
advice to young writers? I know, advice to young writers: don't give up. Don't ever give up. 100 million people will tell you 100 million reasons why poetry isn't valuable, why writing isn't a valuable thing to do. Listen to your heart and listen to that voice inside you that's making you pick up a pen and follow that road. Never compare yourself to other writers. Everybody's journey is different. Some people, they write one thing and suddenly they're hugely famous, but then they've got to follow that up for the rest of their career. And other people, like me, perhaps, you just keep going and going and going, and sometimes you hit and sometimes you miss, but it's the making of it's the creative side of it that's the fun side. The creative and the making and the writing is the fun side. Once you've got a finished book or a finished album and you're touring around trying to get people to understand why you've made this thing, that's a whole other hard work. So enjoy the making and the creating. I'm kind of talking to myself there. Because you do, you sort of, the salesman side of stuff, it gets really, because nowadays the writer has to do so much, of that, from social media to making videos, making films, doing things, hustling. So the quiet, the writing, the making, the conceiving of the thing is the best bit.
So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Connor.
On this interview. I've been Connor Sansby. This has been Thanet Writers meet Salena Godden. Thank you very much. Bye.